This is why I do what I do. One of my good buddies, I can't remember if it was Ian from Rhyme Signatures or some of my friends from the PROG Report, had recommended this one to me, and I was like, yeah, I'll check it out. I'll see what the big hubbub is about it. And man, what a journey. All right, let's dive into this one. We cast our light. We cast our light. Our Road to Dust by Edensong. So Edensong is a band that's been around for longer than I thought. They are a New York-based progressive rock band, and most of the time I would caveat it with like a symphonic retro prog or a neo prog or a heavy prog or whatever. These guys are a little bit squirrely to try to nail down, because every time I think I've got it, they change their style a little bit to make it a little bit harder. I think the best way to kind of encapture, that's the word I'm looking for, is that they're eclectic metal. You know, I think they're more on the metal side than they are on the rock side, but they're definitely like flirting that line. You know, they're definitely the band that shows, hey, genres are just a word, you know, and we can play with that. But yeah, they formed back in 2004, and they put out their debut album of The Fruit Fallen back in 2008. They have put out another album as Road to Dust is their third album. Years in the Garden of Years. Man, my dyslexia does not like that at all. Because third album, and this comes almost, 9 years? After years in the Garden of Years. So they've had quite a bit of a hiatus between their last album. And I feel like they really used that time to reevaluate what kind of music they want to do. Now, again, I haven't heard Years in the Garden of Years or The Fruit of the Fallen, but I am definitely going to check them out after listening quite heavily to this. This album, because I went in blind, kind of did a little bit of a bait and switch for me, if I'm being perfectly honest, because the first track of Ascents starts off with this minstrel, you know, this very pleasant guitar strumming similar to an Anthony Phillips or a slowed down version of a Steve Hackett, you know, very inviting, very showing, hey, this is just a safe place. We're just a couple minstrels. We're just having a good time. And then the illusion of permanence hits you like a bucket of bricks. You know, it immediately changes genres and styles into this aggressive metal like quality that's something that, say, I don't know, an Opeth or Between the Buried and Me would do. Not quite to the blast beats or like a really heavy, but that aggressive, very off-kilter, very strange style of guitar works to showcase, hey, we are not afraid to change up the game at any point within this album. And I had to applaud them for that. You know, like anything that does that, that makes me perk up my ears and go, oh, that's an interesting sound, is one that I'm going to follow through to see where this wants to go. And I'm glad I did. Like, these guys are aggressive, but they're never brutal in that case. Like, they have brutal tendencies for sure, but they are much more in the vein of, say, like a heavy Opeth or even like a Pain of Salvation is heavy, you know? And I love that, once again, they're not afraid to try and shake up things. You know, there's flutes throughout this. And you would think, like, flutes don't necessarily fit in this more aggressive style of metal, but they make it work, and I'm very pleased that they do. And this style of changing up music very rapidly is kind of found out throughout the album. The third track of These Old Wounds, you know, starts off very harsh, very heavy, but then there are moments of reprieve that just have this airy quality to it. You know, there's moments of breath where it's just like, we're going to take a couple of breathers here, just going to let it mellow, we're just going to sit back, and then once again, very similar to how like Porcupine Tree was doing with, say, a Dead Wing, or later on in, say, like The Incident, where they're changing up musical styles, you know, every couple of minutes. These guys are kind of channeling that same essence, but putting their own spin on it. This was one of the things that I was kind of very frustrated about with the latest Acarist album. These guys are showcasing that they can have that starting point, but then go pretty far away from it. But even then, they don't want to stay comfortable. They're always trying different things. Black Crow, being the fourth track, sees the band doing beautiful harmonies within the vocal works with this very textured programming synth doing a lot of the rhythm works on here, that it just makes me melt. I'm like, man, you guys are doing things that like other bands would have been like, that's a little too weird, or I don't know if that's quite the vibe on this one. They're like, nah, man, we'll make it work. We'll find a way to make it work. Just let me in, coach. Let me in, coach. I'll do it. I got to applaud them for that, you know, because it still feels very unified. It still feels very akin to what this album is attempting to do. And yeah, that's definitely what I love about these guys. And they're also showing that their musicianship is top notch. Like, check out the track of The Book of Complaints, which I believe is the highest streamed track on Spotify. Soaring guitar works. Like, these guys are able to create such brilliant and beautiful styles within their guitars that I'm just like, man, you guys are commanding force. Like, you've got some stay power within that guitar chug. We've got the Of Ascents Reprise, which I love a good reprisal that isn't quite at the end. And then 2 tracks to finish it all off. Wicker Basked, I believe, being the 8th track, and then the title track of Our Road to Dust. And Wicker Basked, I think again is how you pronounce it, feels straight out of a power metal outfit. You know, like I could definitely see like a Dragon Force commanding a track like this. And once again, they are constantly pushing the envelope and constantly challenging the listener, being like, yeah, you thought you were comfortable? Nah, man, we're going to shake it up. But let's talk about that final track, Our Road to Dust. This is the first track that I felt like they were touching a little too close to their influences. You know, this was the first one I'm like, this sounds a little bit too much like Porcupine Tree, or this feels a little bit too much like a Steven Wilson track. But they were able to kind of put my concerns at ease with that beautiful play out. And that's one of the big highlights of this album, is that wonderful play out of this track that really brings this album all home. And man, for 9 tracks across 41 minutes of music, it's the perfect length and the perfect amount of music for me to get excited, for me to get like all here for that, and then immediately makes me want to re-listen to this album right from the get-go again. So yeah, I was very pleasantly surprised about this record. I've had a great time with this record. I do wish, if I were to put out any kind of nitpicks or any kind of things that I would improve upon, I wish that there was a little bit more stay power, you know? Like, I really wish, like, while I'm in the music, I'm loving the music, but afterwards, I don't have those really immediate hooky aspects of it. I don't have those meaty rememberings of it. I wish that there was just a little bit more of a hook to drive me back to this album. But still, a fantastic album after a 9-year hiatus. I can't fault these guys for putting out what they do, and it makes me excited for whatever they're deciding to do next time, and I hope we don't have to wait 9 years for that. So I think my final rating for this record will be Our Road to Dust by Edensong is an album that I would absolutely download. Definitely check this one out. I think it's well worth your time, and I had a great time with it. I think you will, especially if you love albums and bands and artists that really try to push the boundaries of progressive rock. You know, like if they're always trying something new, they're always trying something different, they're always like putting their own flavor and their own spin on things, I think you'll be really, really surprised and really enjoy this album. If you like something that stays in its place and doesn't move a whole lot, I will find that you will find this one very frustrating. But that's my own recommendations. That's my own take on this one. What did you guys think about this record? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Whatever you thought, please let me know by commenting down below. And I think that is where I'm going to leave it for today. So thank you all so much for watching. As always, you guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out.